Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, everybody loves a success story, especially on this channel, and we have one today. Brenda lost 60 pounds by going on a plant-based diet and also regained her health. Please welcome her to the show. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Great. Well, 60 pounds, that's a significant weight loss, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels good.
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to share some before and afters, and people love to see those. But I'm curious, how long has it been since you lost the weight?
Well, I started on the whole food plant-based way of eating 4.5 years ago. So in the first year, I lost 40 pounds, and in the second year, I lost 20 pounds. So I've had it off now for going on 3 years. So yeah, I never thought I'd see the day. I was at the point of hopelessness. It's never going to happen for me.
Well, I love that because it's never too late. I've seen people lose weight even in their 90s, if you can believe that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Had you tried other times to lose weight, either successfully or unsuccessfully?
Yeah, I actually early in my marriage, I guess I can say particular weight loss organizations. I was a Weight Watcher, not just a member, but I actually worked for them for a while. But the problem was, I didn't know this at the time. I thought I just didn't have discipline and couldn't stay on the program. But they allowed a lot of things that were not necessarily healthy. And just like you, Chef AJ, I had some food addictions. So when they said you could eat this diet ice cream and it just counts as 2 points, I ate 6 diet ice creams because that was just, I could fit that in my day, no big deal. And so I struggled and finally ended up quitting working for them because I felt like I was a hypocrite, still thinking that it was all my fault, that I just didn't have the discipline to stay on this diet and something was wrong with me.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with any of us. It's the food that was engineered to be addictive for most people. I know some people can have it. I know people blame themselves. I wish they wouldn't because we didn't have this problem, in the Stone Age, for example.
Right, right. But I did, and there was a lot of depression that came along with that. I kept a health journal over the years, and I can look back in it, and it just constantly said, "Oh, I'm back on my diet now. I'm doing really well. I've lost X amount of weight." And then the next entry would be, "I've gotten off track and I've been binge eating, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just so frustrated." And this just played over and over and over for decades in my adult life. Very discouraging.
Did you always have excess weight to deal with?
I don't really remember as a child. Now, I would say I was probably chubby, but I don't remember being obese as a child or even as a teen. It was after I got married that I started putting weight on. And then when I started doing the whole diet thing, when the weight would come back, the weight would come back extra. And then I would diet and then more weight would come back on. And yeah, and then finally it was to the point where it was affecting my health.
Wow. Are other members of your family, do they suffer with excess weight?
Yes. Actually, my mother passed away when she was 39, and she always struggled with weight. Aunts, uncles, yes. A lot of strokes and different things in my family, yes.
Well, what were you taught early on was the best way to lose weight?
Um, I don't ever really remember, as a teenager, anybody really talking about losing weight. I do remember one time just hearing, I don't know where I heard it, probably at school, that if you drank grapefruit juice with every meal, that it would just automatically start falling off of you. You would lose weight. So, eat whatever you want, but drink that grapefruit juice along with your meal. So just kind of weird things like that, I guess. But like I said, really for me growing up, the culture that I live in here in West Virginia is very much high fat food. We may eat garden vegetables, but by golly, we're going to put fat back in it, and slabs of meat, and yeah, and then as I got older and became an adult, I started eating a lot of high fat, high sugar type food, and that's where the addiction I believe happened. I just could not control it like I thought other people could. So yeah, that's what really started putting the weight back on. But the culture that I live in is very much, I wouldn't consider it healthy food at all. Meat at every meal, biscuits, gravy, that type thing. So that's kind of what I grew up eating.
So you kind of grew up eating the Southern Standard American diet?
Yep, there you go. That's it.
Yeah. It's so funny. I remember I've been in the South for a few times, and at the Piggly Wiggly, there's an aisle that's literally called bacon. Like it has its own aisle.
Oh my word.
Yeah. Can you believe it? Had you
That's
ever heard of a
crazy.
vegan or a plant-based diet before? You adopted one? And I'm curious how you even thought to do it.
Yeah, that's it's very strange. Even now, it's different in this area of the country. Yeah, I had heard of it, but never considered it, just thought it was way out there somewhere. And I'm so grateful. I will forever be grateful for my doctor. So what happened finally was I had high cholesterol, had been on statin drugs for, oh gosh, 25 years, suddenly developed high blood pressure. And so I discovered this at home, took my blood pressure at home and discovered it was high for several days in a row, knew I was going to have to go to the doctor. And my doctor was the one that told me about plant-based eating. He said, I've got to start you on blood pressure meds because high blood pressure is very dangerous, but I really recommend a whole food plant-based diet. I think it will help with these conditions that you have. And I had already began thinking when I discovered I had high blood pressure. I thought, is this how you want to age, Brenda? Do you want to be like our aging parents who are on 15 medications a day? And, is this what aging looks like? You just, have poor quality of life. And so already I was beginning to think, no, that's not what I want. So when he said whole food plant-based diet, I was ready to learn all that I could learn and jump in with both feet, which I did.
Who is this gem of a doctor?
Dr. Christopher Parrish, he's here in my area and he is a wonderful man. And he does his research and he knew that that it makes a difference in people's health. And I heard about him. This is so funny. I heard about him at work. One time I was at work and this gentleman came back after lunch and he said, I've been to the doctor. He told me I have high cholesterol. And I said, really? I said, I'm sorry. Did he start you on medication? He said, no, he gave me this book. And he showed me the book, and the book was Joel Furman's
Eat to Live.
Eat to Live. And I said, what doctor do you go to? Because around here, it's just nutrition is never mentioned. And so I started going to him. And then, of course, once I ran into my health issues, he told me the same thing, Brenda, you need to change the way you eat. And I did. And I had to really, really saturate myself, Chef AJ, with the information. And let me just take this time to say thank you for being there. There are people you hear from that say thank you, and there are hundreds and thousands that you will never hear from. And I was one of those people that I watched you in your kitchen cook recipes, and I ordered your book.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, anything that I could get my hands on, I had to saturate myself with it because it was all new to me. I didn't grow up learning about this. It was something I had to learn for myself. I had to take responsibility for my own health. And so that's what I did. And then I ordered recipe books and just started digging in and trying it.
And now you actually can teach cooking as a PCRM instructor.
Yes.
Life
Yes.
instructor.
Yeah.
The doctor that initially told you about a plant-based diet, does he have a plant-based practice? Is he plant-based himself?
He is plant-based himself. And it was so funny because when I'd go back, we'd start talking about doctors or we'd start talking about conferences while it was supposed to be my exam time, just because I was so interested in who he was listening to and where he was going. No, he actually left that practice. So he's no longer my doctor, which makes me very sad. He's still in the area, but he works at a veterans clinic. He's like the director of a veterans clinic now. But he is whole food plant-based himself and a very good example. and he still shares the message with his patients.
I love that because, these unsung heroes that, just somebody going to a doctor that, because, people can see Dr. Esselstyn, but that's not everybody. I wonder if he'd ever like to be on the show.
Possibly. I could always ask him.
Yeah, that would be so cool. How easy or how hard was it for you to change your diet from biscuits and gravy to beans and kale?
Yeah, it was actually easy because I was so ready. I think something clicked in me that, and I'm sure you can identify with this, where it didn't take me long to realize that this was my identity. This is who I am now. So once I became vegan, whole food, plant-based, I just kept keeping on and learning new recipes. And what I discovered to my surprise is that I absolutely loved the food. And I thought, why have I not been doing this? In fact, when the doctor finally took me off of cholesterol meds, remember I told you I'd been on them 25 years. When he took me off, I sat out in the parking lot of the doctor's office and cried in the car. And I thought, all I did was change my food. All I did was change my food. And I loved the food. And so it really wasn't hard. It was just a learning experience. And now, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine not eating plant-based because I love it so much.
I didn't realize you were on those medications for 25 years.
Yes, the cholesterol meds, I was on there for 25 years. Blood pressure meds, I just started and got off them within like 3 months. But yeah, the blood pressure meds, just, I can't believe it. Yeah, and it was just the food.
I mean, there's so many people, Brenda, that are on those medications for years and more, and either they don't hear this or maybe they don't want to change.
Have changed.
It's amazing that when you took control of your health destiny, the weight took care of itself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the yo-yo dieting that I had done for years suddenly came to an end. And I never thought I would see the day. I never thought I would see the day. So that was a big surprise. It became a way of life for the first time in my life, instead of just I'm on a diet to lose weight. So yeah, I do remember one episode like 3 months in where always in the past, I would go by Dairy Queen if I had a bad day, okay? And I have to pass Dairy Queen to come home. So I'd had a bad day, been eating whole food plant-based for about 3 weeks, and I kept thinking, I'm going to stop at Dairy Queen on my way home. And I talked myself out of it. And I said to myself, I guess other people talk to themselves, I said, it's not about weight loss anymore, Brenda. It's now about your health. And I talked myself out of it, got home, and I actually felt almost like a grieving process. I imagine that people that are addicted to alcohol or some other type of substance, it's like I'm not doing that anymore, but I want to do that, if that even makes sense, because that's how I always coped. But once that day was over with, it was like it gave me more strength. And I never had a craving like that anymore moving forward. So I've been very grateful for that.
Well, I remember getting off sugar, crying for quite a bit.
Yeah.
Feedback. I wonder what that is. Hopefully that will go. I was hearing a little bit of feedback.
Okay.
No. Well, I'm guessing though, just as a food for life cooking instructor, you've learned to maybe recreate some of the foods you loved before.
I have. And if I get in the mood occasionally for sweets, I will make, muffins or, brownie bites or something. But I don't feel like I need sweets as much anymore, like I did before. I'm just enjoying, oh my word, just the variety. I never ate other types of foods. Like I love to make veggie sushi. I never liked sushi before. Indian food, just so much variety. It just goes on and on and on.
Nice. So, people love to know what you eat in a day. I'm curious what you eat in a day now, but what you ate in a day before.
Yeah, the breakfast was always, typically the oatmeal, sometimes overnight oats and a berry type thing, or either some type of nutritious dry cereal with berries. And now, Chef AJ, rereading your book again, I've started just recently eating vegetables for breakfast. Thank you for suggesting that, because I feel so good eating vegetables for breakfast. But for the first couple of years, I did not. And it was mostly oats and cereal type things. I love soups. I love lentil soup, one of my favorites. If I'm at home, I love big salads. So I used to eat little salads with 2 or 3 veggies in it. Now I eat huge salads with 10, 12 veggies, lots of color. Yeah, just a variety of food. And yeah, rice and beans are one of my favorite things. So yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on. There's so much variety.
Nice. What prompted you to become a Food for Life cooking instructor?
I had started a professional speaking business, and I was speaking at conferences, and my topics didn't have anything to do with wellness. But all of a sudden I had this health transformation, and people started asking me, will you come speak on plant-based eating? Will you come speak to our staff on wellness? And I felt like I needed to credential myself more. And so, of course, I became licensed Food for Life instructor through Physicians Committee. I did the T. Colin Campbell, E. Cornell certification in plant-based nutrition. I did the Food for Life, I'm not Food for Life, sorry, Forks Over Knives culinary course. I just kept doing things to credential myself so that I could go and speak. And so on that topic, so now the door has been just wide open with interest. I speak a lot at staff development meetings. I speak still at conferences. I do children's classes. I speak at school board meetings. Like, it's just wide open.
That is fantastic. Well, you know what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you know you have a few before and afters you could show us.
I do. Let me pull that up here. See those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's see if I can get them to. Here we go. Oh, I went backwards or something. Let me go. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm gonna, this is going the wrong direction for some reason. Huh.
It worked perfectly right before, you know.
How about this? How about this?
That's great.
You see it? Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Here's some.
You know, your voice is garbled now.
Okay. Let's see. Do you hear me now? Okay.
Oh yeah, now I can hear you well.
Okay. Before and after here. Lots of before and afters.
Oh, the
Yeah,
side
that one is
fabulous. I'm guessing you're not very, am I correct that you're not very tall?
5 foot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
5 foot. Yeah, this
so
is
60 extra pounds on a 5-foot frame is a lot.
It's huge. I mean, yeah, I was miserable. I was just so miserable. This is some, if you don't mind me going on here, this is just some cooking classes that I'm doing. This is a kids class I did. I love this picture. Just talked about, you know, fruits, vegetables, legumes, and grains. And it was so much fun. This was a class that I, like a customized wellness event that I did. This was for a parent-student night at a local school. Where I cooked some things, another cooking class. This was see where I cooked some plant-based food here for this television personality. I've done that numerous times. Yeah. And then this is an event that I'm have coming up in West Virginia. You don't have to be from West Virginia to attend it, but it's the wellness weekend that I'm having in September. And I'm so excited that Chuck Carroll's going to be there. Yay. And he's going to
he knows a thing or two about weight loss.
Oh yeah, the weight loss champion himself. he's going to be talking about food addiction. And so I have men and women both signing up, and I'm so excited for that. And then this Amy Jaspers, she works at an osteopathic school of medicine, and she teaches about how food affects chronic diseases, and she's whole food plant-based as well. And the resort will be serving us all plant-based food. And yeah, this is my third one that I've had here. So I'm so excited about it. And I'll throw this last slide up, Chef AJ. That is my information. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Brenda Workman Speaks. And then my website is brendaworkmanspeaks.com. So just to let you know, everybody know.
Do you speak? Is that why your website says Brenda Workman Speaks?
Yeah. So that's how my business started, was speaking at conferences. And little did I know that I would start cooking and showing people how to cook plant-based. I didn't know that that's the direction the business would go, but that's okay. That's what people need to hear, and changing lives. And just, I'm sure not at the magnitude you get emails, but I get emails too that say, I started eating a plant-based after attending your class, and now I'm off insulin, or now I'm off my medication. And then you say to yourself, how can I not do what I do? You know, because it's helping so many people.
Have you been able to influence friends or family or coworkers to eat healthier?
It's mostly people in my classes that I feel like I have an effect on. My husband does not eat whole food plant-based, and so I always tell people when they say, oh gosh, I can't do it, you know, if my husband's not on board. And I'm kind of like, I am responsible for my own health, and he is responsible for his own health. And we do grow a backyard garden, so he does love veggies out of the garden. And so a lot of meals he does eat plant-based, but some he does not. So I do have 4 children, and 1 is plant-based. So, you know, you just keep being an example. That's all you can do.
I mean, I would imagine they saw your incredible transformation, but still no interest on their behalf.
Yeah, not yet. I feel like the time will come. Now, my family is very proud of me, and they accommodate me. You know, when I say they accommodate me, I go to visit them, and they'll say, Mom, you know, what do you want us to pick up at the grocery store before you get here? And they're, you know, or we're going to eat out on such and such night. Where do you want to go? Because we want to be sure they have what you can have. And so they've been very, very
respectful.
Yes, they really have. And so supportive.
And supportive. See, that's the main thing. It's not, as long as you're not being sabotaged, you know, they don't have to eat exactly like you. So that's terrific. What role, if any, did exercise play in your weight loss journey?
At the beginning, that 60 pounds, not much. I did take some walks around the block a time or two, but it wasn't, I didn't do a regular exercise program. And even now, it's more about walking in my neighborhood. And I have the backyard garden. So in the warmer months, I'm outside always working in the garden. And that takes a lot of exercise doing that. But no, not really gym membership or anything excessive. And at the beginning, nothing. When he took me off the cholesterol meds, it had just been the food that made that difference.
That's incredible. That is, you know, I love that you said it took you 2 years to lose the weight, because so many people are looking to lose weight quickly, you know, with ways like Ozempic. And I lost, I think, I don't know, 60 or 70 pounds. It took me 27 months. That's a little over 2 years, like you. And people think it's like you didn't put the weight on overnight. It doesn't happen in a week, a month. And especially if, you know, if you're comfortable telling your age, you can. But I was like 52 when I started my weight loss journey.
Right. I was in my early 60s. This year I'll be 65. So yeah, it was coming off slow, but it was consistent. And that was really all that mattered to me. And I felt so much better. I feel so much better. I mean, even at my age, I get around and do so much more than I did when I was 60 pounds heavier. I never felt like doing anything. Yeah. So yeah, it makes a huge difference in the way you feel.
Yeah. Well, I imagine.
And it's not just the weight loss that makes you feel good. It's the food that makes you feel good.
Absolutely. I imagine because you lost the weight slowly, it wasn't like, people, maybe it took them a while to get used to it, because it wasn't like you went away and had some kind of surgery and came back. You were doing it so slowly over a period of 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I still see relatives and that I haven't seen for a while, and they'll say, gosh, you have lost so much weight. And like I said, all of my family has been so supportive and my friends have been supportive. Yeah. And then I love the fact that you teach a class, you show people how to cook, they go home and do it, and then their life changes. It's sort of like you pass the torch to the next person. So it's quite encouraging.
That's fantastic. What's been the best part of losing weight and keeping it off?
I just think, oh my gosh, that's a hard question, because physically you feel better, but mentally it's like I have more confidence in me. Remember, I told you I'd started the speaking business, then had the health transformation. So even when I get up to speak, my confidence is so much greater than it was before the weight loss. So mentally, physically, it affects all areas of your life.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that you had that incident where you were going to stop for, I believe it was ice cream, but have you had any cravings since then that you couldn't deal with in a healthier way?
No, I haven't. And because my husband doesn't eat plant-based, he sometimes eats junky food. He doesn't, I don't like, if he's going to eat ice cream or something, I don't go get the ice cream for him. He takes care of himself. But if I happen to walk by something and it's there, I say out loud, been there, done that. When I look at that junky food, and I just say it out loud, been there, done that. And I saw where it, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're always going to get the same results. And so when I see it, I'm no longer tempted by it, because I've eaten my share of donuts in my lifetime. I've eaten my share of junky food. And I saw where it landed me with poor health. What would have happened if my doctor had not recommended this to me? What would have happened if I had not changed the way I'm eating? I possibly, like the rest of my West Virginia, my fellow West Virginians, we're at the top of the country, by the way, for poor health. I probably would have developed heart disease, diabetes, many other chronic diseases. So that was the direction I was headed. So been there, done that, don't want it. I know what it's like on the other side. My son always tells me I've gone to the green side, and I feel like I have. I like it over here on the green side.
That's funny. How do you remember how old you were when you attempted your first diet?
I do remember when I was about 12, the whole drinking grapefruit juice, that was about 12. Yeah. And then after that, it really wasn't too much dieting until after I got married. And then I started as a newly married woman, like frying chicken and, doing this whole West Virginia style of cooking. And all of a sudden I started gaining weight. And then of course I had children, and yeah, and just kept on gaining weight and kept, doing the whole WW thing.
Yep. Yep. When you did go on these diets to lose weight, how much weight did you lose on them?
I lost with WW probably, I don't know, 25, 30 pounds. Maybe after my first child, I may have lost 40, but then regained it, and then that was the thing. I would lose, but gain, lose and gain, lose and gain. And sometimes in the course of 1 year, I would lose and gain 3 times within the course of 1 year. So we're talking being whole food plant-based now I'm in my 5th year. So it's been a total game changer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you got to be on Chuck Carroll's show.
I did. That was a special treat. I was really amazed that he asked me. But yeah, he interviewed me, and yeah, and I had a lot of people reach out to me after that. In fact, some even West Virginia folks reached out, asking just for some support. So that was a good thing. Yeah.
Did you have any support when you were first making these changes? And what did it look like if you did?
Only my doctor. And I loved going to the doctor at that point because every time I'd go, I was losing weight and I was getting off meds. And my doctor was like, good for you, Brenda. I'm so proud of you. And he was my whole food plant-based support system. But Chef AJ, it was just people like you and people on the internet that I had to reach out to. I got on Forks Over Knives and read like every success story there was. And sometimes I printed them off if it was a woman in her 60s and she lost weight. Like I just saturated myself with all this information to get the support that I needed.
Did you ever consider anything like gastric bypass or, well, there probably wasn't Ozempic back then, or maybe there was, but they weren't using it for what they're using it for now.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I just kept thinking if I could just be disciplined, if I could just, eat healthier, if I could, I'll get it off. And then I finally almost gave up, just sort of like, I'm just going to be happy overweight. I'm just going to not even worry about trying to get this weight off because I can't. And I'm going to try to be happy, but I wasn't happy. I was very unhappy in my body.
Yeah. Do you ever worry about quantities? Because so many people that I've worked with, when I used to work with people, they come from these strict weighing and measuring programs and they're limited to, 7 ounces of vegetables. And one of the things I like best about eating a whole food, plant exclusive, lower fat diet is that I never have to worry about how much I eat, just what foods I'm choosing.
That has been so wonderful. In fact, I refuse to write anything down because I wrote things down for so long. And yeah, just eating when when you feel hungry and just the nourishment that you feel when you eat this kind of food. I always explain it. It's like when you're thirsty and you drink water. When you eat this whole food plant-based, you just feel this nourishment. And yeah, no, I don't weigh and measure anything. I don't write anything down. I may make a plan because I'm kind of a planner. So I may say, oh, tomorrow I think I'm going to fix that soup or whatever. I may make a plan, but I don't weigh and measure. I don't write anything down. There's so much freedom in this. I'm like you, just eat plants, that's the only thing. Just
I agree.
Eat plants.
That's the secret.
Yes.
To eat plants, fit into your plans. Do you weigh and measure yourself?
I do weigh myself. I haven't measured myself. I do weigh myself occasionally just to kind of keep, up on things to be sure everything's, nothing's going up or anything. And I'm not obsessive even about that. So, yeah.
Were there any times that you would worry that you would gain the weight back, or did you have any, what I like to call snackcidents?
Believe it or not, no. And I think it's just because I was so ready. I was so ready. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was so sick and tired of being down on myself. And this has been such a wonderful change that again, it's my identity. It's who I am, and when it's your identity, then your actions follow. And so this is who I am, and this is who I'm going to be for a lifetime. So no, I haven't had any. The only time I've had slip ups is when it was accidental, like, maybe went to a restaurant and ordered something that I thought, I remember one time I ordered some type of noodles, and it wasn't until after I ate them that I realized that they were egg noodles. And so there's been a few, things that, yeah, Brenda had to learn what to order, or, but always just accidents.
Yeah.
I'm purposefully, intentionally always eating whole food plant-based.
Nice. Were there any new foods that you were introduced to when you first went plant-based that maybe you hadn't eaten or hadn't eaten much of before, or foods you might have been afraid of, like carbs?
Yeah. I mean, just the freedom of eating as much carbs as you want is wonderful. But just like Indian food and sushi, those were new things that I had never eaten before. Yeah. So, and of course, some of the soy plant food, even tofu. I had bought tofu numerous times, but I had let it go bad in the refrigerator because I didn't know what to do with it. So those type things, tempeh, things like that, I learned to you know, enjoy those. I don't eat them that often, but when I do, I know how to cook them now. And yeah, so that was new to me. People in West Virginia don't eat tofu much.
Funny. Is there any vegan or plant-based scene or meetups or anything like that where you live?
Not right in my community. There's one at the closest one I know of is maybe an hour and a half away from me, hour and a half, 2 hours away from me. So no, not anything close. So I try to provide that for folks in my area by doing plant-based cooking classes monthly. So I have two different monthly classes going on, one in Bluefield, West Virginia, and one in Bland, Virginia. And so every month I'm cooking some new recipes for them. And so you could call that a meetup because everybody comes together and I show them how to cook different things. But no, the closest meetup is probably an hour and 45 minutes from me. Yeah. And even like restaurants, in my community, there are no vegan restaurants. You just have to figure out what's on the menu and what you can order.
Well, you could maybe start your own meetup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever thought about writing a book about your experience?
I have. It actually is on the back burner. So many other things to do that I want to do. I actually want to do a YouTube channel myself, once a week YouTube channel. Yeah, I want to do a course. I'm working on a course right now for people who are newbies. But I do want to write a book. I would like to write a book. And I might call it something like Dancing to the Beat of a Different Drummer. That's kind of a title I've been thinking of, that you don't always have to, you can be countercultural and it's okay.
That's great. Well, start now because I got to tell you, even once you decide to write it, it can take a couple of years to get it out there.
That's what I've heard. That's what
Yeah.
I've heard. Yeah. So yeah, I have a lot of plans, a lot of things I want to do. At least I have the energy now.
That's fantastic. So the wellness weekend, do people stay on the premises at a hotel? What is that? What is the schedule like for that?
Yeah, it starts on a Friday evening at 7. So they probably have already had a dinner. The resort has a lodge, so that's where everybody probably will stay, and they'll have plant-based options for us in the restaurants while we're there. But starts on Friday evening at 7, and then Saturday all day we go, and they'll provide plant-based breakfast, plant-based lunch, plant-based snack for us on Saturday. So just kind of go one presentation after the other, and Chuck will be in the morning on Saturday morning. So yeah, and I'm going to give some time for question and answer for him because I know folks will have a lot of questions for Chuck.
That's great. And I hear you have some kind of a membership group.
I do, yes. So it's virtual, and what I do is folks join and I put them in a private Facebook group, and then I do cooking demos from my kitchen. So I have cooking demos from my kitchen that I do for my members, and then we just have a lot of support. I do giveaways. I give away kitchen knife sets. I give away cookbooks. I give away different things in the group and challenges and just things to give people support.
Nice. What are your favorite things to cook, and what are your favorite cooking tools or appliances?
Ooh, good question. I probably use my food processor and probably my Vitamix maybe the most in the kitchen, but I didn't realize until I started chopping vegetables that you got to have a good chef's knife. And so I'm trying to think of the brand name. Organizations used to sell them to raise money. It starts with an R, like road.
Is it Ronco or Cutco?
I can't remember. It's 4 letters and it starts with an R. I can't remember the name of it, but that actually is my favorite chef's knife. And that's what I use because I spend a lot of time chopping up veggies for these classes that I'm doing. And so, yeah, I think if you don't have a good chef's knife, man, you're going to be frustrated in the kitchen. But I do use my Vitamix a lot, and I use a food processor quite a bit as well.
Nice. What advice do you have for people that are just getting started?
I think that they have to saturate themselves like I did with information. If you don't have support in your local area, you have got to get support for yourself. So, watch Chef AJ, look up plant-based doctors, these all these plant-based YouTube channels where they're making recipes. Like, just saturate yourself, because knowledge is power. And I just think you gotta find out as much as you can. That would be the first thing. And then keep it simple, right? People for some reason think, oh gosh, I don't know how to cook, or I don't have time to put all that together. Well, this morning I had kale and a Yukon Gold baked potato, and that was really simple, but it was delicious, and I ate it and I was nourished. And so sometimes you just have to keep it simple until you learn to make recipes. So don't think it has to be complicated. I do think you have to prepare, especially those who have families and maybe children, because you got to have stuff. I do some batch cooking and put it in the fridge, and that way it makes it a little easier just to grab out some brown rice that's already cooked, or some quinoa that's already cooked, and put some things together if you've prepared in advance. So I think preparation is important too.
Everybody I've ever talked to that's been successful says that it's not so much that they have extraordinary willpower, but that they have some kind of system in place for having the healthy food appear when they need it.
Yes, absolutely. I kept a couple of my grandchildren. By the way, I have 10 grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I kept 2 for the past couple of days. They went home yesterday. And while they were here, I thought to myself, I see why moms of younger children, it's harder for them, because your brain is like all over the place just trying to take care of them. But thankfully, I had fruit salad made up in the fridge, and I had other things made up in the fridge. So I just grabbed what I had, and it made life easier. So batch cooking is definitely important.
I couldn't agree more. Do you have an Instant Pot and or an air fryer?
Both.
Yep. 2 of my
Both.
I call them success tools.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have both. And I do use my Instapot also for the garden vegetables when they come in. I love throwing green beans in there when they come out of the garden. And I cook them in veggie broth instead of water. I add onions in there while they're cooking. And then when I get them out, I add a can of Great Northerns in there with them. And sometimes potatoes as well. And it makes just a meal, green beans, potatoes, Great Northerns, onions, nothing better.
Yeah, gotta have that onion. What would you say to somebody that's given up hope that they could ever lose weight? I did it in my 50s. You did it in your 60s.
Yeah. I just think it's the food. It is the food. And I thought I had it all figured out when I was younger, because I thought I was doing the healthiest thing, but I wasn't successful. And so once you start eating whole food, plant-based, you will find that it is exactly what your body needs. And then the cravings will go away eventually, and you can be successful. You're never too old. You're never too old. And I feel better now than I did when I was in my 40s. Like, I have more energy, and yeah. So yeah, you're never too old. You start where you are and learn all that you can learn, and just start practicing it. It's well worth it.
I know you mentioned your husband doesn't eat this way, but are you able to keep somewhat of a clean environment, at least free of the foods that could possibly tempt you?
Yes. Yeah, there is one cabinet where he keeps his snacky things, and I don't have anything in that cabinet, so there's no need for me to get in that cabinet. But if there's any kind of argument that we have, it's that he says that my food takes up too much room in the refrigerator. So he'll say, these boxes of greens and all these berries, and, this batch cooking. And because I do cooking classes, a lot of times I'll have like meal prep boxes, and he'll say, can you come help me find the ketchup? I can't find anything in this refrigerator.
Maybe it's time for another fridge.
What I always say is I say, do you want the refrigerator full or do you want the medicine cabinet full? And I'm off my meds now. So
I love that. I've heard pay the grocer, pay the doctor, but that's even better. That's wonderful. So other than at your wellness weekend or at your membership group, where can people find you, Brenda? Do you do anything on social media?
yeah, on Facebook and Instagram, it's at Brenda Workman Speaks. So be sure you add that speaks on the end, at Brenda Workman Speaks. So I'm always posting foods that I eat and places that I'm going and cooking classes that I'm doing. So I'd love for them to follow me. And my website is brendaworkmanspeaks.com, and it lists the wellness weekend on there and all the details about the wellness weekend. And I would like everybody, Chef AJ, who are your followers, to get a discount.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if they want to come to the wellness weekend, and by the way, it's a beautiful resort in the mountains of West Virginia, and it's in the fall of the year, so it would be a beautiful getaway. If they want to do that or the membership, they can put the code in Chef AJ, all capital letters, and get 20% off of either one of those.
Oh,
So
that's very kind of you. Thank you. Well, Brenda Workman Speaks. You guys should listen because she's a true success story.
thank you. Thank you. I can't imagine not eating this way now.
Yeah.
It's just,
Do you ever
life-changing.
surprise yourself when, I know for me, like it took a few years looking in the mirror, like, hey, I'm not heavy anymore. Do you understand now that you have lost?
Yeah, I do. I do. Sometimes I'll look at myself or I'll see a picture of myself and I'll say, gosh, I'm not heavy anymore. Like I do surprise myself. But also sometimes like on social media, things will come up from like 8 years ago. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, was I that heavy? Like somehow you don't really look at pictures very much when you're 60 pounds overweight. And so those pictures will come up and I'll think, thank God that I don't look that way anymore.
And you're confident this is to stay, this way of eating and this.
Yeah. Yep. Been there, done that, did it the other way. And that's not the direction I want my life to go. I want to age with a good quality of life and I want to feel good. So I'm very happy with what I'm doing. And I love the food. Absolutely love the food.
Yep, that's important because I don't think any of us could have been successful long-term if we didn't genuinely love the food.
Absolutely.
And this food loves us back. Well, it's just been great spending this last hour with you and getting to know you a little bit. Good luck with your wellness weekend. I know Chuck is amazing. He's so fun. And he's got some story, doesn't he?
He does. And I appreciate you having me on, Chef AJ. It's an honor for me because I've watched you for years, just giving me encouragement.
Oh,
So
thank you. Well, you're giving other people encouragement, and I appreciate that. And so much that you're going to get 2 free bottles of California balsamic vinegar just for being on the show, courtesy of Thomas Allen. So if you haven't tried them, I think you'll really like them.
yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, you can put it on your morning vegetables. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time for Dr. Jim Loomis of PCRM and Chef Karen Dugan. They're called the Doc and the Chef, and they're going to be talking about surprising sources of calcium in a plant-based diet. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.